The battlefield was quiet now, but the silence was not peace. Smoke floated in the air, and broken machines still burned. The war between the human fleet and the Empire had ended here with destruction. Among the ruins, a small alien scouting team moved carefully, searching for survivors. They were not soldiers, but healers from a species known for kindness, not war. They had been sent to record the dead, not to rescue. But then one of them saw movement. Under broken steel, half buried in ash, a human soldier was still alive. His breathing was weak, his armor torn, but his eyes opened when the alien touched him. The alien froze. To save this human was dangerous. The Empire had forbidden any help to humanity. Anyone caught helping would be punished, their entire world marked for destruction. The alien team knew this well. Saving him could mean the death of their people. Yet they looked at each other, and something in their hearts decided. They could not leave him. One alien whispered, "He is only one life. What difference can it make?" But another answered, "One life can mean everything." With trembling hands, they lifted the human out of the wreckage. His blood stained their robes, his armor heavy against their small frames. They carried him into their ship, hiding him under blankets, praying no one would scan too closely. The human tried to speak, but only a whisper came. "Why are you helping me?" The alien did not answer. How could they explain? They themselves did not know. All they knew was that leaving him here to die felt wrong. 4 hours, they worked to heal his wounds. They used their own medicine, not made for human bodies, but it kept him alive. His breath grew stronger, though his body was broken. Outside, the Empire patrol ships circled the ruined world. The aliens knew if they were caught, it would not just be their lives, it would be their families, their home, their species. Fear pressed on them like a heavy shadow. Still, they did not turn back. Every time they thought of leaving him, they remembered the look in his eyes. Not the eyes of an enemy, but the eyes of someone who still wanted to live. At night, when the stars burned cold above, the human opened his eyes again. He looked at them with confusion. "You should not risk this," he whispered. His voice was weak, but his tone carried the weight of a soldier who knew what war cost. The aliens exchanged glances, unsure if they should answer. Finally, one said softly, "Because no one deserves to die alone." The human closed his eyes, tears sliding down his face, mixing with blood and dirt. He had fought countless battles. He had lost friends, seen ships torn apart, seen worlds burn. But in that moment, he felt something he had not felt in a long time: hope. Days passed, and the human slowly grew stronger. The aliens taught him their words, and he learned to speak them. He told them his name, his rank, and how he had fallen in battle. They told him nothing of their fears, nothing of the danger they faced. But every alien in that small crew carried the same thought: if the Empire finds out, we are finished. When they finally reached their hidden base, the commander of their people looked at the human with shock. "What have you done?" the commander demanded. "Do you understand what this means? The Empire will destroy us all if they discover this." The crew stood silent. None of them had an answer, none of them had a defense. They only looked at the human, who stood weakly, supported by their arms. His presence was the answer. The commander closed his eyes, breathing heavily. Then he said, "Very well. If we hide him, we hide him completely. The Empire must never know." The human bowed his head, touched beyond words. He did not know why these small beings had risked so much for him. But deep in his heart, he made a silent promise: "If I live, I will not forget this." And so it began, the story of one life saved, a story that would one day shake the stars themselves. For in that moment, a bond was formed. A bond between one human and one alien crew. A bond that would call all of humanity into the greatest risk they had ever taken. The aliens thought they had only saved a man. They did not yet know they had changed the fate of the galaxy. Years passed after the rescue, and the human soldier who had once been half dead beneath the ruins now stood strong again. The aliens who had saved him never spoke of their act to outsiders, for fear of the Empire's wrath. They hid him on their small world, teaching him their ways, giving him food and medicine, even while they themselves suffered under heavy Empire taxes. The soldier healed, and in time, he returned to Earth. His body carried scars, but his heart carried something greater, a secret of kindness. When he walked into the chambers of Earth's leaders and told them his story, silence filled the room. He told them of the small alien crew who had saved him, of how they had risked their lives and their entire world for just one human life. He told them of their fear, of the Empire's cruelty, and of the words they had spoken to him, because no one deserves to die alone. The leaders of Earth listened with dark eyes and clenched jaws. Humanity was not known for forgetting debts. When someone betrayed them, they never forgave. But when someone saved them, they never forgot. The soldiers' words spread like fire through the military, through the fleets, through every city on Earth and every colony among the stars. Humanity asked one question: who are these aliens? Where are they now? The soldier gave their name, their world, and their kindness. Humanity began to watch that small world, from a distance, quietly, with patience. But the Empire also watched, and the Empire did not forgive disobedience. Soon whispers reached Earth that the aliens who had saved the soldier were in danger. The Empire had learned pieces of the truth. They had not yet discovered the full story, but suspicion had grown. The small species was being crushed with harsher taxes, trade restrictions, and constant patrols. Earth's leaders knew what was coming. It would not stop at punishment. It would become destruction. The soldier, who had once been a survivor, now became a voice. He stood before the Council of Humanity and spoke. They saved one of us. They risked everything. And now they will be destroyed because of it. Are we to sit and watch? His words struck deep. Humanity had fought wars for less. They had spilled oceans of blood for pride, for territory, for honor. Now here was a reason greater than all those things. To repay a debt of life. To honor the risk of a people who had chosen compassion over fear. The decision was heavy, but the choice was simple. Humanity would act. And yet, they did not move openly, not yet. Ships were prepared in silence. Fleets were repositioned under the guise of exercises. Supplies were gathered in hidden depots across star systems. Humanity waited, their anger sharp but quiet. The Empire believed Earth would do nothing. The Empire had seen humanity bleed before, had seen their colonies burn, had seen their people enslaved. To the Empire, humanity was strong but cautious, never foolish enough to fight a battle they could not win. But this time, the Empire was blind. It did not see that the soldier's story had changed something deep in human hearts. The humans were no longer preparing for defense. They were preparing for a promise. The soldier returned once more to the alien world. When he stepped down onto their soil, the small people looked at him with fear and hope. They had not expected to see him again. They had not expected that he would remember them. But he did. He told them that humanity knew everything now. He told them that Earth had not forgotten. The aliens trembled. "You should not have returned," their leader said. "If the Empire finds you here, they will kill us all." But the human only smiled, a tired, scarred smile. "You saved me when you had no reason to. Now humanity has a reason. We will not let you fall." The aliens could not believe it. They were too small, too weak. They had no armies, no fleets, no power. How could humanity risk so much for them? But the human's eyes carried the fire of his people. He spoke with certainty. "When humanity owes a debt, we pay it. No matter the cost." That night, as the alien leaders sat in their council, they argued in whispers. Some said humanity would bring doom upon them. Others said there was no hope anyway, that the Empire would destroy them whether humanity acted or not. And one voice, old and steady, said, "Perhaps the Empire has ruled too long. Perhaps it is time for someone to stand against them." Across the stars, Earth's fleets moved into silence, shadows across the void. The promise was now set. Humanity had learned the truth. The Empire believed it had power, but soon it would learn something far more dangerous. It would learn what humanity does when someone saves one of their own. The Empire did not forgive. When whispers of the truth reached their rulers, anger spread like fire across their court. Reports had come that a small alien species had hidden a human soldier, healed him, and even protected him from patrols. Though the Empire did not yet know every detail, they knew enough. Compassion was weakness in their eyes. To them, saving an enemy was treason. Their answer was swift. A fleet of Empire warships appeared in orbit above the small alien world. The sky turned dark as massive shadows passed over the land. From the ground, the people looked up and saw death waiting in the stars. The Empire announced new punishments. All trade was cut off. Resources were seized. Any ship that left their world was captured or destroyed. The planet was locked under blockade. The Empire called it justice, but everyone knew it was the beginning of slow extermination. The small species had no army, no fleets, no way to resist. Fear spread through their cities. Families starved as food shipments stopped. Children cried as soldiers marched in their streets, demanding tribute that did not exist. And all the while, the people asked the same question: was saving one human worth this? The answer was whispered in private rooms, spoken with trembling voices. Some said no, that one life had cost them too much. Others said yes, that one life had shown them the Empire's cruelty more clearly than ever. And in the silence of their suffering, hope rested on only one thought: would humanity come? The Empire believed humanity would stay quiet. They thought humans feared them too much. They remembered wars where human colonies had been crushed, where human fleets had been forced to retreat. They saw humanity as strong, but cautious, unwilling to risk annihilation for anyone but themselves. The Empire mocked the idea that Earth would rise for such a small people. But deep in the Empire's heart, a seed of fear grew. They remembered the times humanity had fought back, the times when humans had turned hopeless battles into blood-soaked victories. They wondered, what if humanity does come? On the alien world, the rescued soldier returned again. This time he came in secret, slipping past the blockade with the help of human scouts. When the people saw him, they gathered around, desperate, begging for answers. "Will your people help us?" they asked. His face was grave, his eyes shadowed with guilt and anger. "Yes," he said. "Humanity knows what you have done. Humanity knows what price you are paying. And humanity does not forget." His words spread through the planet like light breaking through darkness. For the first time since the Empire ships had arrived, the people lifted their heads with hope. But hope was dangerous. The Empire tightened its grip. Patrols doubled. Ships bombarded outer villages to remind everyone of their power. The Empire commander in charge stood proud, convinced that fear would crush any dream of rebellion. Yet he did not see the movement in the shadows. Human intelligence ships moved just beyond the blockade. Human codes whispered across the void. Every strike from the Empire was recorded, every cruelty noted, every life lost remembered. Humanity was watching, waiting, and preparing. In the halls of the Empire, arrogance grew. They believed they had shown strength. They believed no one would dare defy them. But in their pride, they missed the truth. The blockade was not breaking the small people, it was hardening them. Every act of cruelty made them cling tighter to the promise of humanity's help. Every punishment turned into fuel for future resistance. And on Earth, every new report only sharpened humanity's rage. The leaders of humanity gathered in silence. Around them, holoscreens showed images of starving children, burned villages, broken cities. They watched, and their jaws tightened. They listened to the soldier speak again of what the aliens had done for him. And they knew the time for waiting was almost over. The Empire thought they had crushed a helpless people. They thought they had proven their power. But they had only written their own sentence. For humanity was not preparing for negotiation. Humanity was preparing for war. The soldier stood before his leaders one last time and said, "They saved me. Now they are dying for it. If we do nothing, their blood is on us. I cannot accept that. And I know humanity cannot either. The room was silent. Then one voice, strong and final, answered, "Prepare the fleets." The Empire's blockade had lasted for months, choking the small alien world into silence, but the silence did not last forever. Far across the stars, deep within human space, the fleets of Earth moved into position. They did not announce their plans. They did not send threats. They simply prepared. Ships that had been hidden for years came out from secret docks. Massive carriers, cruisers, and dreadnoughts were fueled and armed. Soldiers trained without pause, their hearts heavy with the knowledge of what was coming. Humanity did not move lightly, but when they moved with purpose. At the center of it all was the soldier who had once been saved. No longer broken, no longer weak, he now wore the uniform of a commander. His scars remained, but his voice was steady. To him, this was not just war. This was a promise. When the fleets were ready, humanity began its return. The first sign came quietly. Empire patrols near the alien world reported strange signals. Shadows in deep space, shapes moving faster than their scanners could follow. Then one night, without warning, the stars themselves seemed to bend. A human fleet emerged from hyperspace, surrounding the Empire blockade. The Empire commander on station watched his screens in shock. He had expected perhaps a few ships, a desperate attempt at resistance. Instead, he saw walls of steel and fire, human warships in numbers that made his blood run cold. Humanity had not come with words. They had come with an army. The small alien people on the ground saw it too. From their cities, they looked up and saw the sky light with new stars. Hope, long buried under fear, rose in their hearts. The human commander opened a channel to the Empire fleet. His voice was calm, but every word carried iron. You blockaded this world. You starved its people. You thought no one would come. But they saved one of us. And now we have come to save them all. Silence followed. The Empire fleet hesitated. They had power, but humanity's ships stood like predators, every gun ready, every missile armed. For the first time in decades, the Empire realized they might not be the hunters anymore. The human fleet moved first. Without warning, their weapons lit up the dark. Explosions tore across the Empire blockade, ships breaking apart like paper under the storm. The aliens on the ground watched the battle above with wide eyes. They had never seen such fury, such precision. The Empire fired back, their ships burning bright against the void, but humanity did not falter. Every formation moved like one body, every strike hit with purpose. They were not fighting for conquest. They were fighting for a promise. The rescued soldier stood on the bridge of his ship, watching the battle unfold. He remembered the moment he had been pulled from the ruins, when weak hands had lifted him from death. He remembered the words spoken to him, "No one deserves to die alone." And he whispered to himself, "You will not die alone today." One by one, the Empire blockade ships fell. Fire turned to silence, and silence turned to wreckage drifting through the dark. The human fleet closed ranks around the alien world, forming a shield of steel above their skies. When the last Empire ship exploded, the small people below cheered. They wept, not only because they were safe, but because they were not alone. For the first time in their history, someone had come for them. Someone had answered their cry. The human commander opened one more channel, this time to the entire galaxy. His voice spread across systems, carried on signals that no one could block. This world is under the protection of Earth. Any who raise a hand against them raise a hand against us. They saved one of us when no one else dared. Now we will save every last one of them. Across the galaxy, governments and species listened in silence. Some trembled with fear. Some felt hope. And the Empire, in its throne rooms, burned with rage. Humanity had returned, and their return was not quiet. It was a warning. It was a promise. The galaxy had seen wars before, but what had begun here was different. This was not only a battle of fleets. This was a bond written in fire, a bond that no empire could erase. And as the wreckage of the empire's blockade floated silently in the void, one truth echoed in the hearts of all who saw it: humanity had come back, and they would not leave until the promise was kept. The galaxy trembled when news spread of the empire blockade's fall. No one had expected it. No one had believed that humanity would risk so much for a small alien world, but the wreckage floating in orbit told the truth. Humanity had returned, and they had returned with fury. Yet the battle was not over. The Empire would not allow such humiliation to stand. They gathered fleets, massive armadas, larger than anything the small world had ever seen. But humanity did not wait for the Empire to come. They moved first. The human fleets struck like lightning across the stars. Their first target was the Empire supply lines that fed the blockades and patrols. Human ships appeared from hyperspace in sudden storms, tearing apart convoys before the Empire even knew they were under attack. Carriers burned, transports shattered, fuel depots exploded into fireballs that lit the void. For the first time in centuries, the Empire bled in places it thought untouchable. The small alien people watched these reports with disbelief. They had seen empires crush worlds with ease, but now they saw the Empire itself forced into retreat. Humanity was not only defending their world, they were breaking the enemy piece by piece. The rescued soldier, now a commander, led one of the strikes himself. His fleet appeared near an Empire fortress station, a structure armed with guns strong enough to hold back entire armies. The Empire commander laughed when he saw human ships arrive. He thought it was suicide. But the humans did not attack blindly. They moved with precision, their smaller vessels weaving in and out of fire, drawing the Empire's guns into traps. Missiles ripped open the station's defenses while drones swarmed its weak points. Within hours, the fortress fell, its great walls broken, its command silenced. The galaxy could not believe it. Rumors spread faster than light itself. The humans are not just fighting, voices whispered. They are winning. On the alien world, the people stood outside at night, looking to the stars where flashes of war burned. Each explosion was both terror and hope. They knew every victory came with cost. Human ships fell too, human lives were lost, but the humans never stopped. Every time a fleet returned, it returned with more ships, more soldiers, more fire. The Empire tried to strike back. They sent fleets into human space, hoping to force Earth to retreat. But the humans fought with a strength the Empire had never faced. They turned every ambush into a counterattack, every trap into a grave for Empire ships. The more the Empire pushed, the stronger humanity seemed to rise. The rescued commander often stood on his bridge in silence, remembering the moment he was saved. He looked at his crew, at his soldiers, and he reminded them of why they fought. "This is not about pride," he said. "This is not about conquest. This is about a promise. They saved one of us, so now we save them all. That is why we fight." His words carried through the fleet, reminding every pilot, every soldier, every captain of their purpose. And when they went into battle, they carried that fire with them. The Empire grew desperate. They called humanity reckless, foolish, suicidal. But the truth was written in the wreckage of their ships. Humanity was not reckless. Humanity was focused. They were not simply attacking the Empire. They were cutting its claws one by one. And still, the Empire did not understand. They thought humans were driven by anger. They thought this war was revenge. They did not see the truth, that this war was loyalty. For humans, loyalty was stronger than fear, stronger than logic, stronger even than death. The small alien world became a symbol. Other species watched carefully, wondering if perhaps humanity's fight could also be theirs. Whispers of rebellion began to stir. The Empire tried to crush those whispers, but every new battle, every human victory, made the whispers louder. The first strike was only the beginning, but it had shaken the balance of the galaxy. Where once the Empire ruled unchallenged, now shadows of doubt spread across their domains. And deep in human space, fleets continued to gather. The first strike had proven something important, that the Empire could bleed. Now humanity was preparing to strike again, harder, deeper, until the Empire finally understood the full weight of the promise humanity had made. The Empire had suffered defeats before, but never like this. Their supply lines were broken, their fortresses cracked, their fleets scattered by human strikes. Yet the Empire still believed it could crush humanity with sheer numbers. So they gathered everything, pulling ships from distant borders, calling legions from conquered worlds, building an armada so large that the galaxy trembled at its sight. To many, it seemed certain that humanity would finally fall under such weight. But humanity was not afraid. They had seen impossible odds before, and they had survived. This time they fought with something greater than survival. They fought with loyalty. As the Empire's great armada pushed toward the small alien world, humanity stood in its path. Thousands of ships, human and alien allies alike, formed a shield. The rescued soldier, now a fleet commander, stood on his bridge, his eyes locked on the stars where the enemy approached. He knew this would be the turning point. If they won here, the Empire's grip would weaken forever. If they lost, everything, the small alien world, humanity's promise, their honor, would be destroyed. The Empire's armada arrived like a storm, filling the void with endless warships. Their commanders broadcast their arrogance across the channels. "You are reckless," they sneered. "You are doomed. Surrender, and we may let some of you live." But the humans did not answer with fear. The commander raised his voice, not only to the Empire but to his entire fleet. "They saved one of us. They gave everything for me when no one else would. Now we stand for them. If we fall together. If we win for all who still hope." His words echoed across the comms, filling soldiers with fire. And then the battle began. The void exploded with light as weapons fired from every side. Empire ships pressed forward in waves, overwhelming in number, but the humans did not break. They fought in tight formations, every movement planned, every strike meant to turn the enemy's strength into weakness. Smaller human ships darted through the chaos, striking weak points, drawing fire away from the larger vessels. Carriers launched swarms of fighters that cut through the Empire's lines like knives. Explosions rocked the stars, and the sky seemed to burn. The small alien people on the ground watched from their cities, hearts pounding as flashes lit their skies. Every boom shook their world, every glow a reminder of the promise being kept above. At first, it seemed the Empire's numbers would overwhelm. Human ships fell, fighters burned, cruisers broke apart. But even in loss, the humans fought with fury. Every ship that went down dragged enemies with it. Every pilot who fell made their sacrifice count. Slowly, the tide began to shift. Humanity's strikes grew sharper, more precise. Their fleet began to cut through the Empire's armada, turning the massive force into scattered pieces. The Empire commander screamed in anger, ordering his ships forward, demanding victory at any cost. But fear was spreading among his men. They had never seen humans fight like this. They had never seen soldiers who refused to retreat, who fought as if death itself was nothing compared to failure. Hours passed, and the great battle became a storm of fire. Then came the moment that changed everything. The rescued commander led a daring strike straight into the heart of the Empire armada. His flagship pierced their lines, drawing the attention of dozens of enemy warships. It was a move so reckless the Empire believed it was madness. But behind him, hidden in the chaos, human bombers moved into position. They unleashed a storm of torpedoes that ripped through the Empire's command ships. One by one, the enemy's leaders were silenced. The armada, vast and powerful, lost its heart. Without clear command, their ships faltered, their formations crumbled, and humanity pressed forward with unstoppable force. The galaxy watched in silence as the Empire's armada, once thought invincible, was broken. When the last enemy ship fled, leaving wreckage and fire behind, a cheer rose not only from the human fleets but from the alien world below. The people wept with joy. They had survived. Humanity had kept its promise. But even as victory filled their hearts, they knew the war was not over. This was only the turning point, the moment the Empire's shadow began to crack. Humanity had shown the galaxy that the Empire could be beaten. Now the question was no longer whether they could fight back. The question was how far humanity would go to finish what had begun. The battle was over, but the fires in space still burned, drifting wreckage lighting the skies above the small alien world. For the first time in their history, the Empire's armada had been broken, not by numbers, not by luck, but by will. Humanity had fought and humanity had won. On the ground, the small alien people came out of hiding, looking at the heavens with tears in their eyes. They had expected death, but instead they had been given life. Above them, the human fleet stood in silent formation, scarred but unbroken, a wall of steel promising protection. The rescued commander stood on the bridge of his flagship, staring at the stars as reports came in. The cost had been high. Many ships were gone, many soldiers lost, and yet the battle had been worth every sacrifice. Because the promise had been kept. The aliens who had once lifted him from the ruins were alive, and their world was free. In that silence, the commander spoke, his words broadcast not only to his fleet, but to the galaxy. They saved one of us when it cost them everything. Today, humanity saved all of them. This is our vow. To those who show us compassion, we will stand by you. To those who betray, to those who enslave, to those who crush the weak, know this, humanity remembers, and humanity returns. His words spread like wildfire. Across the galaxy, oppressed species whispered with hope. Perhaps they were not alone anymore. Perhaps the Empire could be challenged. Perhaps humanity was the shield they had prayed for. But in the Empire's halls, the rulers boiled with rage. They had lost fleets, they had lost power, and worse, they had lost fear. The galaxy no longer looked at the Empire with obedience. They looked at humanity with awe. The Empire swore vengeance, promising that this war was not finished, that humanity would pay. But their threats rang hollow in the face of the victory already won. On the small alien world, celebrations erupted. The people filled their streets, offering gifts, songs, and tears to their human saviors. They touched the armor of soldiers, they wept at the feet of commanders, they embraced them not as strangers but as family. They knew they were safe not because they were strong, but because someone stronger had chosen to stand with them. And in return, they swore loyalty to Earth. The rescued commander walked among them, humbled. He remembered the moment when he had been carried from the ruins by fragile hands. He remembered when he had whispered, "Why are you helping me?" And they had answered, "Because no one deserves to die alone." Now he understood the weight of those words. Now he carried them as his own. "You will never stand alone again," he told them. "Not while humanity has breath." In the days that followed, humanity rebuilt what the Empire had broken. Supplies poured onto the alien world, hospitals were raised, children were fed, and cities repaired. But more than that, humanity built something greater: trust. Where once the galaxy had seen only human soldiers, now they saw human guardians. Humanity was no longer just a power among stars. They had become something more. A symbol. The Empire still held countless worlds in chains, and humanity knew this victory was only the beginning. The vow made here was a promise to all who lived under the shadow of tyranny. Humanity would fight for them, just as they had fought for one. And though the road ahead would be long, though battles still waited, the flame of hope had been lit. The rescued commander stood once more before the Council of Humanity. His scars marked his body, but his spirit was unbroken. He raised his voice not only as a soldier, but as the man who had once been saved by kindness. "Let this be remembered," he said, "that when the galaxy was silent, when the Empire ruled with fear, a small people chose compassion. And for that, humanity chose war. Our vow is clear: any who save us, any who stand with us, will never be forgotten. We will fight for them, we will bleed for them, we will save them, even if it costs us everything." The council rose to their feet. Around them, soldiers, citizens, and leaders bowed their heads. Humanity had spoken as one. The vow was sealed. And across the stars, the message echoed like thunder: Humanity never fights alone, and humanity never forgets.